Okay. The cell wall is a protective covering for the plant cells. So plant cells will usually undergo a lot of wear and tear. Plant cells will be undergoing various environmental conditions. So it will be exposed to various environmental conditions, and since it cannot move and escape those environmental conditions, it will be undergoing a lot of wear and tear. Animals, if there is any rain falling up, okay, if there is rain falling down, we usually move. Even the animals move. Namaste alla, animals kuda move agatte. Even animals move to a safe zone, right? However, how about the plants? Can plants move to a safe zone? No. So at that time, if there is a lot of hailstones coming down, okay, if there are hailstones, if there is a lot of rain coming down, they can damage the plant cells, right? They can damage the plant cells. There is a excessive temperature, burning sun. So what we do? We go under the shade, right? Animals also go under the shade. How about the plants? Do they go under the shade? No. They are exposed to that stressful environmental conditions. So since they get exposed to the different types of stressful conditions, the wear and tear will be a lot in the plants. So because of that reason, there is one extra covering which has been given, protective covering which is given to the plants, and that extra rigid protective covering which is extra protoplasmic. It is not protoplasmic, it is extra protoplasmic. That covering is the cell wall. So it is an rigid extra protoplasmic layer. Extra protoplasmic layer. Now, how is this formed? We'll first speak about the origin of the cell wall, and then we'll go to the structure of the cell wall. How exactly the origin of cell wall takes place? Origin of cell wall. See, the growth of the cell is within the cell. So, the growth usually takes place from within the cell. It is not that external components will help in the formation of the cell wall. The internal components of the cell itself will help in the formation of the cell wall. So, if you remember the meiosis or mitosis, okay, lastly in the telophase what happens? In the telophase, two daughter cells are being formed, which is the karyokinesis, right? So cell cycle has karyokinesis and cytokinesis. So the karyokinesis is division of the nucleus is over. Now coming to the cytokinesis, that is during the formation of a new cell, how exactly the cell wall has been formed. So during this process, firstly what happens? Small materials from the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi complex. Very small material, small parts, pinches, I can say pinches, okay. Small pinch of materials from the Golgi complex and the endoplasmic reticulum will start depositing here at the center. They start depositing here at the center like this. And this material, okay, this material we call it as phragmoplast. Phragmoplast. We call it as phragmoplast. So what is this phragmoplast? It is the pinched off material. Pinched off material from Golgi complex and endoplasmic reticulum. Now this phragmoplast gets deposited here at the center, and this starts growing outwards like this. It starts extending. It starts increasing in their size. So when it increases in the size, the space is also required. So at that time what happens? This comes here like this. It comes like this. It becomes like this. Again, much more growth takes place. When the much more growth takes place, it all will be joined like this. It all will be joined to form one layer, which is the outermost layer, which is a cementing layer between two cells, which is called as the middle lamella. Okay, middle lamella is a part of the cell wall. Now this middle lamella which is formed, this will start growing the cell walls on the inner side. So two cells, right? If you see the plant cells, we can see them like this, wherein you can have a feeling of a honeycomb. You can have a feeling of the honeycomb, right? So now, these layers here. So this layer which is cementing between two cells, okay, this layer which is cementing between two cells, so this is called as the middle lamella. Now, here inner to the middle lamella, the cell wall starts getting deposited like this. Okay, it starts getting deposited. Now let us imagine there is a piece of a tissue. Clear with this? Okay. Now let us imagine there is a piece of a tissue like this, one tissue in which there are so many cells. Okay. All the cells have got this middle lamella. Okay. All the cells have got this middle lamella like this. Okay. Some cells are internal cells, some cells are external cells, right? A few are internal cells and a few are external cells. Now remember one thing, middle lamella is present only in these internal cells. For the external cells, on the external side there is no middle lamella because it is not cementing to any next cell. Right? It is not cementing to any next cell. Let us imagine this is a leaf. Let us imagine this is a leaf. The cells which are there at the border, they have the, here they have the middle lamella, here they have the middle lamella, here they have the middle lamella, but here they don't have the middle lamella. Because they are not cementing to the next cell, they are not joining to any other cell. Whereas here they are joining to the next cell. Right? So wherever there is cementing between the cells, we get to see the middle lamella. Okay, and inner to the middle lamella, so here this is the middle lamella. I'll write it here. Middle lamella layer. Inner to the middle lamella, the cell wall will be formed like this. The cell wall will be formed. Okay, so external to the cell wall, what will be present? External to the cell wall, it is all the middle lamella. It extends like this. It extends like this and it forms all the middle lamella. Okay, clear? And inner to this, the cell wall starts forming. And cell wall, there are layers of the cell wall. Cell wall is not a single layer. Cell wall, sometimes it is single. In some cells, it is single layer. In some cells, it is two layered. In some cells, it is three layered. Okay, so we will see the details of the structural details and the functional details and the compositional details of the cell wall in the next class. Okay, clear with this? Huh? Clear with the origin of the cell wall? Yes? Any doubts? Huh? Okay, go ahead. So we have seen the origin of the cell wall, right? How exactly the cell originates, cell wall originates. The formation, how exactly it begins. It begins with the middle lamella formation. So during the cell division, right? During the cell division, it is during the cytokinesis, the formation of the cell wall begins with the formation of the middle lamella. So as soon as the middle lamella is been formed, immediately the cell wall formation, inner wall formations will actually begin. So middle lamella, it is just a cementing layer between the cells. If there are two cells, ಎರಡು cells ಇದೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್, these are two cells, ಈ ತರ ಎರಡು cells glue ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ in between these two cells there is a gluing of the middle lamella. So cementing cell ಮಾತ್ರ. ಈ middle lamella ಒಳಗಡೆ, inner to the middle lamella, the actual cell wall formation will begin. We'll first see the distribution of the cell wall. Before going to the different layers of the cell wall, we'll see the distribution. Distribution of the cell wall. So coming to the plants first. In the plants, the cell wall is majorly made up of cellulose. Right? It is majorly made up of the cellulose. Of course, hemicellulose is also present. Right? Pectin, some amount of suberin, cutin is all present, but the major component of the cell wall in the plants is the cellulose. And then where else the cell wall is found? Do we see the cell wall in the animal cell? No, right? Then where else, in which organisms do we see the cell wall apart from the plants? It is the fungi. Fungi, right? And what is the cell wall of the fungi made up of? It is made up of chitin. The cell wall of the fungi is made up of chitin. And then we also see the presence of the cell wall in the bacteria, right? And what is the bacterial cell wall made up of? The bacterial cell wall is made up of? It is made up of peptidoglycan, right? It is made up of peptidoglycan, okay? Then, any other organisms which have cell wall? Any other type of organisms which have cell wall? Algae. Algal forms also have the cell wall. And what is the algal cell wall made up of? Algal cell wall is majorly made up of cellulose and pectin, or most of the times we also see the presence of silica. You remember the diatoms? Right? Silica shells. So even the silica is also a part of the algal cell wall. Okay? And then we have finally animals which don't have cell wall, right? No cell wall present. And in this class, we are particularly studying the plant cell wall. Okay? Now coming to the structure of the plant cell or plant cell wall. So it is multi-layered. Plant cell wall is multi-layered. So we get to see primary cell wall, secondary cell wall and tertiary cell wall. So cell wall alli 3 layers irutte. Okay? So cell wall is multi-layered or it is 3-layered. It is primary cell wall, secondary cell wall and the tertiary cell wall. So now if you see the structure of a cell and how exactly the cell wall has been distributed. So we'll first write one. Okay. So cell, okay. Now we are supposed to write this is the middle lamella. This is all the middle lamella present. Okay. Now, here there are adjacent cells present. There are surrounding cells which are present. Okay. So it goes like that. Right. Now, inner to the middle lamella, we have this cell wall, which I've drawn here in the white. Okay. How exactly this is been multi-layered? So first layer attached to the first layer attached to the middle lamella is the primary cell wall. And remember, the primary cell wall is a continuous layer. The primary cell wall is a continuous layer. There are no gaps. So let me write the specifications of the primary cell wall here. So primary cell wall. This is majorly made up of cellulose. Remember, though the cell wall component, major component of the plant cell wall is the cellulose, in case of the primary cell wall, the cellulose is very less and hemicellulose is more. Okay, the cellulose is very less and the hemicellulose content will be more. So how we define the primary cell wall? How we define the primary cell wall is, it is majorly made up of cellulosic microfibrils embedded in the matrix of hemicellulose. This is how exactly the composition of the primary cell wall has been defined. So, majorly hemicellulose, pectin and some proteins. So, all the plant cells, irrespective of what type of cell it is, all the plant cells carry the primary cell wall compulsory. But it is not compulsory that all the plant cells should carry the secondary and tertiary cell wall. It is compulsory for all the plant cells to carry the primary cell wall, but it is not necessary for all the cells to carry the secondary and the tertiary cell walls. But however, when it comes to the meristematic cells, remember, the meristematic cells will have only primary cell wall. They don't have the secondary cell wall or the tertiary cell wall. So, the cells which contain only or which have only the primary cell wall are the meristematic cells. Why meristematic cells have only the primary cell walls? Why they don't have the secondary and the tertiary cell walls is the feature of the meristematic cells is to enlarge and to grow. Right? If they have to enlarge and grow, then there should be the cell wall which is thin and flexible. Right? And thin and flexible cell wall is the primary cell wall. When it comes to the secondary and the tertiary cell walls, these cell walls are quite rigid. The tertiary cell wall though is very strictly rigid, I can say. The secondary cell wall is quite rigid. It doesn't allow the expansion of the cell. It's very difficult when for the cell to get expanded when there is secondary and the tertiary cell. So when the cell gets matured later, after the meristematic activity, when the cell gets matured, at that time the secondary cell wall formation will actually start. Until then, until the cell gets matured, there is only primary cell wall present in the cell. Clear? Huh? So, the meristematic cells have only primary cell wall. And remember this important thing, less cellulose, more hemicellulose. less cellulose and more hemicellulose. And this is thin and flexible. This is thin and flexible. Okay. So this is about the primary cell wall. Clear? Huh? Now coming to the secondary cell wall. Let me, shall I wipe this? Huh? Shall I wipe this off? You have written it? Okay. Coming to the secondary cell walls. So this secondary cell wall again have layers. Secondary cell wall again have layers in it. See, cell wall itself is multi-layered. First thing is cell wall itself is multi-layered. In that the primary cell wall is single layered. Again in that secondary cell wall has again got 3 layers. Okay. So secondary cell wall has 3 layers. 3 layers and we call them as S1, S2 and S3. Call them as secondary layer 1, secondary layer 2 and secondary layer 3. So how is this secondary layer formed? So secondary layer inner to the primary cell wall. Okay, inner to the primary cell wall, the secondary layer is been formed. How exactly it is formed? It is formed by giving the gaps like this. This is very important feature of the plant cell. Yes. This is how the secondary cell wall has been formed. Look at the board everyone. As I said, it's 3 layered, right? Now, on top of this, there is one more layer, like this. And then we have this is the second layer, and then we have the third layer. We have the 3 layers like this. Okay. So now this is S1, S2 and S3. Fine. I will write it here. S1, S2, S3. Okay. Now there are some gaps which are present here. So let me just write this in another format. Okay. Let me just draw this in one more format. So we have the middle lamella like this. This is the middle lamella, right? So next to the middle lamella, we have the primary cell wall on both the sides, right? On both the sides, we will be having the primary cell wall. On this side, there is one more cell. It means that here also there will be primary cell wall only for this, right? So we have the primary cell wall. Then after the primary cell wall, we have this secondary cell wall. This is the secondary cell wall. S1, S2, S3. S1, S2 and S3. Now, these notches which are being present here, these gaps which are present, these are called as the pits. These are called as the pits. One very important structure, okay? Pits are of 2 types. Many a times there are questions on this, on the pits. Pits are of 2 types. In the angiosperms, we get to see different types of pits. In the gymnosperms, we get to see the different types of pits. However, these pits which are just common like this, okay, so there is no shape given, so such pits we call them as the simple pits. We call them as simple pits. And simple pits are present in the, or they are the characteristic feature of the angiosperms. Angiosperms. Now we have one more type of the pit which is present in the gymnosperms, and that is, the shape goes something like this. Like this, okay. So this shape or these kind of pits we call them as bordered pits. Bordered pits which are present in gymnosperms. Which are present in the gymnosperms. Simple pits and the bordered pits. Okay. Now, why do we need these pits? What's the need of the pits? See, we know that there are microfibrillous connections which are running from one plant cell to the neighboring plant cell, which we usually call as the plasmodesmata, right? So if the plasmodesmata has to travel, then in case of the primary cell wall, it is fine, because primary cell wall is very thin and flexible, they pierce through it or they usually flow through it, I can say. So that won't be a problem. But when it comes to the secondary cell wall and tertiary cell wall, they are very rigid. Secondary and tertiary cell walls are very rigid. So plasmodesmata connections cannot move through the secondary and tertiary cell wall. So there should be some opening for the plasmodesmata to move through, right? So through the pits, the plasmodesmata connections will be piercing. Okay, clear? Huh? So this is the secondary cell wall, and remember, the secondary cell wall has more cellulose and less hemicellulose. So there in the primary cell wall, what happened? In the primary cell wall, there was less cellulose and more hemicellulose. So now there is more cellulose and less hemicellulose along with lignin, chitin and suber to some extent. Okay, so these all things also will be present to some extent. Then we usually see the formation of the secondary cell wall when the cell gets matured, right? The formation of the secondary cell wall, formation of secondary cell wall takes place at the maturity of the cell. At the maturity of the cell. We can say like matured cells, xylem fibers, right? Xylem fibers, woody stem, right? Woody stem. So all these will be having the secondary cell walls. Okay, clear? Huh? Then we have the tertiary cell walls. Now, inner to the secondary cell walls, the tertiary cell walls will be present. But tertiary cell walls are not part of all the cells. They are present in some specialized cells, like which are usually like we call them as dead cells, tracheids, fibers. Okay, so such kind of cells will be having the tertiary cell wall. So here and there it will be present in the form of a patch to give extra rigidity, like this, to just to provide extra rigidity. So I'll just write it here. tertiary cell wall, tertiary cell wall. So here this is majorly present in specialized cells, present in specialized mature cells, mature cells. Okay. So example, we can take tracheids. Tracheids example. Okay, tracheids are the example. So what is present here majorly? So major component here is the deposition of the lignin. The major component which is present here is the lignin component. So lignin, we usually see the deposition of the lignin in the dead cells, right? Wherever we have these like tracheids or fibers, even fibers you can take. So all these will be having the lignin present in them. And remember, it is highly rigid layer. Highly rigid layer for extra support, extra mechanical support. For the extra mechanical support, so this layer has one extra layer of the cell wall, that is the tertiary cell wall. Clear? So this is the structure of the cell wall. So let me just name these now. So this layer is the middle lamella, and remember one more thing, what is the composition of the middle lamellae? Huh? What is the composition of, what is the, look at the board everyone, you can write it later, I'll give the time. What is middle lamella made up of? The major component of the middle lamella is the pectin. Okay, so let me just write it here. Middle lamella, majorly it is made up of pectin. In what form the pectin is present? So pectin is made up, pectin is present in the form of the calcium pectate and the magnesium pectate. Okay, it is present in the form of calcium and magnesium pectates. Calcium and magnesium pectates. So this is the middle lamella and this is the primary cell wall, and here this is the secondary cell wall, and here this is the tertiary cell wall. Okay, clear? Huh? Let's note it down. So functions of the cell wall. So cell wall has got a very crucial role to play in the protection, growth, defense, osmoregulation, transport, communication of the cell. Okay, so we'll see one by one. So firstly, the first function of the cell wall is to provide a proper shape and the structure, right? Rigidity, shape and structure is the first function. Rigidity, shape and structure to the cell. So what happens is, usually the cell wall components, whatever the composition of the cell wall we have seen, so this composition will make the cell to have a proper rigid shape which will not be disturbed. Okay, so it provides extra stability, extra strength to the cell so that it holds the shape in a proper designed way. So whatever shape it has to get, So that shape has been achieved. Not only achieving the shape is important, that shape has to be maintained, right? So how it is maintained? It is majorly by the cell wall. The presence of the cell wall will make the cell to maintain that shape till it survives. Okay. Then second one is protection. Protection. So as I said in the earlier class, animal cells or animals don't have the cell wall. Why is it? That is because they can escape from the various dangers. They can escape from the various stress, right? Whereas the plants cannot escape from any of the danger mechanisms or any of the stress which it encounters. So definitely it has to face it. So there is more wear and tear. So see, if we get to know, we or animals, if they get to know there is some kind of infection spreading there is some kind of danger, do we go to that place? If there is some infection which is spreading from that corner, do I go to that corner? No, we don't go because we know it. But if the plant has to be growing in that area, the plant has to grow. There is no other way, right? So plant cannot say that I won't grow in this place, right? Like we say that we don't go to that place. It has to grow in that place. So definitely it needs some extra mechanism to fight the infections, to fight the environmental stress, majorly the environmental stress, right? More temperature, higher temperature, lack of water, everything, all these are the environmental stresses, and all these environmental stresses the plant has to overcome. And to overcome, there is one extra protection barrier which has been given to the, or which has been gifted to the plant life, and that is the cell wall. Okay, then osmoregulation. Now this is really important. So if you, if you have really studied the physiology well in your plus 2, in your class 12, you remember the turgor pressure, wall pressure, turgor pressures, right? So what exactly are the turgor pressures and the wall pressures? See, cell can take the water inside, but while taking the water inside, it maintains the osmotic concentration, and that osmotic concentration is maintained by the cell wall pressure, by applying the wall pressure. For example, this is a cell, okay, this is a cell. The cell has only 20% of water. The cell has 20% of water. External condition has 80% of water. External condition has 80% of water. As a rule of the osmosis, the water has to move from a region of higher concentration to a region of the lower concentration. So how much amount should move here? How much amount of water should move from the external condition to the internal condition? How much? Huh? How much has to move to maintain the osmotic balance? Huh? Sorry? 3%? 30%. Yes, 30%. Be confident, no? See, what is the difference? The difference is 60%. The difference here is 60%. Divided by 2 should be move inside. That's it. So, 30% has to move inside. So, when 30% comes here, this becomes 50% and this becomes 50%. Osmotic balance will be maintained. Let us imagine 10% has come inside. Okay, 10% has come inside plus 10. Another 10% has come inside plus 10. Another 10%. We'll stop at this point of time. So 40%. So when it is 40% here, how much is here? 60%. Right? So now it is 60%. So still there is osmotic concentration imbalance. Right? Still there is an imbalance. Now 5% will come inside. Another 5% imbalance is still there, right? That 5% when comes inside, when it is coming inside, okay? Now what happens here is the pressures start getting applied, okay? The pressures are, see, on the wall, okay, because there is more amount of water here, on the wall there is pressure which is applied from the inner side to expand more so that it can take more water. The cell always wants to take the water inside. Okay, what the cell does is, cell starts applying pressure from the inner side for the cell expansion, expand more. But what the cell wall does is, no, we are osmotically balanced. We are osmotically balanced. We cannot expand more. So it starts applying opposite pressure. It starts applying the opposite pressure. This becomes the turgor pressure and the wall pressure. Okay, so this is how the cell wall will maintain the osmotic concentration, or it maintains the osmotic balance, which we call it as the osmoregulation. If this is not applied, if it still more enlarges and more amount of water comes inside, then what condition do we call it as? This is isotonic condition. If much more water comes inside, 10% more, what kind of condition do we call it as? It is called as hypotonic. It is called as hypotonic. More water, less solutes. Right? More water, less solutes. This will be hypotonic. This will be hypertonic at that time. In this hypotonic condition, there are chances that the cell may burst out, the cell may lyse, right? There might be lysis of the cell. So that lysis of the cell due to this extra hypotonic condition is prevented by the pressure which is applied by the cell wall. So osmoregulation is one of the functions of the cell wall itself. Okay, then transport and communication. Transport and communication. Transport and communication we have just seen here. We have plasmodesmata present, which are running through the pits of the cell wall, right? Plasmodesmata connections which are running through the pits of the cell wall. So if that cell wall had not provided the pits, definitely in the matured cells, there would not be any communication between the cells or any transport of the materials between the cells, because when the cell becomes matured, it gets a rigid cell wall. When the cell wall becomes rigid, definitely the plasmodesmata connections cannot go through the rigid cell wall. So there would not be any kind of the exchange or the communication or the transport between the adjacent cells, right? So transport and communication, because of the presence of the pits which are present in the cell wall, it is facilitating the transport and communication between the adjacent plant cells. Okay, then one more, growth regulation. Growth regulation. Growth regulation is, see, like how much a cell should enlarge, in what direction the cell has to enlarge or it has to extend, what shape it has to take. Okay, everything is decided or everything is dependent on the activity of the cell wall. How much it has to enlarge, what size, how many microns the size should be present, okay, or what should be the particular shape of a cell. All the cells are of not same shape, right? So the cells, different cells have different shapes. So we see the tracheids in different shapes, we see parenchyma in different shapes, we see collenchyma in different shape, right? Tissues we have different shapes. So all these shapes are greatly achieved and maintained, and the growth is been predicted or the growth is been maintained or achieved by the cell walls. In what direction a cell has to grow, in what particular like should be the size of the cell, everything is decided and maintained by the cell wall. And then storage. Cell walls, they greatly store the carbohydrates, lipids and proteins, because we have lignin present, we have cellulose present, isn't it? Hemicellulose present, pectin present, suberin, cutin, everything is present, right? So all these are what? All these are the biomolecules only, right? So they are the great storage parts of these all carbohydrates, proteins and the lipids. Then lastly, defense. Defense. Now if imagine there is any kind of encounter to the cell. Okay, there is any kind of the infection or there is any kind of the encounter which is happening to the plant cell. So plant cell, what it does is immediately it degrades its cell wall. Whenever there is any infection or whenever there is any kind of encounter which is happening to the cell, the plant will degrade a small amount of the cell wall material, and that degraded cell wall material, okay, that small amount of degraded cell wall material will act as the signaling molecule inside the cell. ಯಾವಾಗಾದ್ರೂ ಈ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಂತು ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಆ ಸೆಲ್ಗೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸೆಲ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ತನ್ನ ಸೆಲ್ ವಾಲ್ ನ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ನ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ತನ್ನ ಸಣ್ಣ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ನ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳುತ್ತೆ. ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಆ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಸೆಲ್ ವಾಲ್ ಇಂದ, ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ನ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಈ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಈ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದ್ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ, ಹೌದಾ? Now this degraded part or degraded piece of the cell wall material will act as a signaling molecule. ಇದೇನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ರೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಸೆಲ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಟು re-attack this. Okay, so atara one signaling mechanism, it gives a defense signaling mechanism to the cell. Clear? So these are the important functions of the cell. Okay, so in the next class we'll see the variations in the cell wall. So how exactly the variations in the cell wall are present in different organisms, so that we will see. Okay.